All right, I'm back again with another video. This time, we're going to talk about Epstein's Island and more specifically, the women of Epstein's Island. Now, as you can see by the title of this video, which is titled Epstein's Island Would Have Been Cool If the Women Were 40, I'm being quite sarcastic in the title to prove a point that this is not about pedophilia. And while pedophilia was on offer, and when we're really talking about pedophilia, we're talking about statutory rape. We're not talking about actual prepubescent children that have no business having sex or having thoughts of sex, being exposed to sex. We're talking about 17-and-a-half-year-old girls. It's arbitrary. In England, a 16-year-old isn't considered a legal adult. In certain states, in the United States, 16 and 17-year-olds are able to get married with their parents' permission. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, you're a libertarian, you're trying to lower the age of consent. No, I'm not. I'm merely acknowledging that there are different ages of consent in different countries, regions, locations, religions, cultures. But one thing pretty much is agreed upon is that prepubescent children are not fair game. So, like, for instance, people are accusing Prince Andrew of being with a 17-and-a-half-year-old in the country that he originates from. That is completely legal. I hate to break it to you. I know it's sad and Americans want to flip out about it, but it's the truth. It's reality. At 16 years old in England, you are a full adult, male or female. And so therefore, in Prince Andrew's country, what he did was not even illegal. But getting to the main point is that if the women were 40, if someone's kidnapping women and bringing them to a small private island where they cannot escape, does it really matter the age of the woman? If someone is using sex operatives, recording famous people, politicians, powerful people in the act of either cheating on their spouses or doing some other type of illicit activity that would ruin their reputation in the political or economic or celebrity spheres that they inhabit, does it really matter what age the girls were that were used in this process? No, it does not. What really matters is the fact that there are people doing these type of things, that there are people blackmailing celebrities, politicians, and economic figures. Not the age of the girls, not how they're recording them, but the fact that they are doing it and the fact that politicians, celebrities, and economic figures are compromised in this way. Would it matter if the women were 60? Would it matter if they were boys? Would it matter if they were doing this to fully grown 45-year-old men, bringing them to an island against their will, trapping them there, and forcing them to do sexual activity with people against their will? Would it matter if they were men? Would it matter if they were 40-year-old women, 20-year-old women, Olympic swimmers, bodybuilders, people that just like Pez? You see what I'm getting at, right? It's not, if you're focusing only on the statutory rape thing, then you're missing the bigger picture that major celebrities, politicians, and economic figures, at least throughout the 90s and early 2000s, were being blackmailed by some type of agent that was using sex and possibly drugs and other illicit activities in a blackmail sting operation that was used to control some of the highest level people in our government, economic systems, and entertainment culture. That's the point. That's the actual point of it. This guy's got a weird island with something that looks like either a Greek or Hebrew temple resembling that on his island. He's been credibly accused of kidnapping people. Kidnapping. So if the woman was 40 and he kidnapped her, then it's okay. Then it's completely cool. It's moral. It's completely moral to kidnap a 40-year-old woman and use her in a blackmail sting operation. As long as she's not, 18, 17 and a half, looks fully grown. No. If she's 40, 35, totally cool. Blackmail away. Blackmail away. If it was a guy, if it was a male, a 35-year-old male that was kidnapped and brought to a private island and put inside a weird Hebrew-esque temple and then forced to do sexual acts, that's fine. That's completely fine. Completely fine. Because that's what you people sound like, as if the statutory rape charges are the worst thing about this whole thing. That they're the worst thing. When, like I said, Prince Andrew in his country, it's completely legal. It's the same thing they did to Russell Brand, where they put it in the media and Americans immediately responded, oh, he was with a 16-year-old. Yeah, but they didn't tell you that that's legal in England. They didn't tell you that that's legal. Right? And I'm sure celebrities, famous people, high-level economists, and political people who are not married have access to a wide variety of sexual encounters, much more than the average person does. And I'm sure, especially in Hollywood, that a lot of that access is with people that most people would consider to be illegal minors. And I'm not saying that you should break the law. Again, I keep reiterating, do not break the law. But to put priority on that rather than the entire blackmail politicians and economic figures and celebrities thing, and just say that, oh, well, it's so gross that he was on this island with 17 and a half-year-olds on their way to be 18. When we all know that you can literally dial up Pornhub right now and type in 18-year-old girls and you get a slew, whether it's true or not, at least they're presenting it that way, a slew of girls that literally just turned 18 today, that they were literally 17 24 hours ago. And now you're allowed to watch them in a porn. Now you're allowed to make a porn with them. So this arbitrary delineation between a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old, except from a legal standpoint, from a moral standpoint, is very dubious. Right? Because there are states in the United States where, with the parents' permission, a 17-year-old can be married to a legal adult. Right? And I know, oh, you're a pedophile, bro. No, I'm not, because I'm not into children. I'm not into prepubescent children. And I also am not into breaking the law. I'm just trying to make a point here that if the women were 40, or if it were men, let's say it was men, right? Would the other crimes be any less important? Would the blackmail, would the other illicit activities, would the compromise of the actual politicians, celebrities, and economic figures be any less concerning for the population if it was 40-year-old women, if it was men? What if it was dogs? What if they were doing it with dogs? I'm sure a lot of people would actually be more appalled that they were doing it with dogs than if they were doing it with men. And that's the crazy part. If this was just men being kidnapped, if this was just men being kidnapped and brought to an island and used as sex slaves, and then there was another island where there was dogs being kidnapped and used as sex slaves, I guarantee you that more people would be up in arms about the fact that dogs were being used as sex slaves rather than men. But so that's why they have to focus on it being minor, underage girls, and focus on that and keep the focus on that, because it's a focus on men and what men do, right? As opposed to the focus being on the fact that Celebrities, politicians, and economic figures are being blackmailed and controlled by secretive elements that live inside of Hebrew-esque temples on private islands and seemingly have blackmail files on many famous economic figures, celebrities, and politicians. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if it was 40-year-old women, Epstein wouldn't have had to kill himself in jail, because it would have been totally legal. Everything that he did would have been totally legal. His only flaw was that it was with a 17-and-a-half-year-old. All right, I think my point has been made. Thanks for watching. If you did, have a good day and peace.